Everybody. Good afternoon for some of you. Welcome to February. Got a few things to cover today, not only from a February and March and April perspective, but wanted to share out some larger views today on the calendar and give you a line of sight to some of the things happening in the region, so you can start to plan accordingly and kind of socialize some dates internally with your team and align on calendars. So Sarah, let's go ahead and go to the agenda. So today we'll give you a 2023 kind of high-level view of some of the big events and such that will be happening this year. We'll of course give you the next 90-day brief overlook. But then we'll talk about some product launch information, some Experience Center updates. Excited to share with you today some pretty significant updates to the Experience Center, which I think you'll all be excited about. We'll touch on some upcoming events. We'll enter into our customer programs and then trade media highlights. We'll take it home. Sarah will give us some heads up on what's happening over the next few months. So let's jump into the key events calendar. So wanted to just give everybody kind of, as I said, a very high level view of some of the things that are happening this year. Some of the dates will be fluid, but certainly wanted to give you some visibility of some of the things happening and kind of briefly talk through them. So if you don't see some things on here, don't worry, because certainly the double click into this calendar are some of the various customer events that we have that we'll be talking about over the next several weeks and months. So if you don't see something here, don't worry. This is meant to be kind of the 60,000-foot view of some of the things that are happening. So I want to talk briefly about trade shows. We did cover NAM on the sales call on Friday, but we'll certainly cover a little bit more today in detail and talk about some of the tech awards and such. But obviously, we kicked off the year with Harman Explorer, the CES event. We'll share some recap there and some of the great things that happened behind the scenes with the concert. But now as we move into NAM this year, as we talked Friday, it is a 3-day event and we'll have a limited presence, and we'll share some of those thoughts and plans with you here in just a minute. As we look towards mid-year, clearly with the AMX MPIs that we have this year, Infocom is a show that we'll be betting big on this year as a way to tell a bigger, broader Harman story and also focus on the AMX side. So as you see here, June 14th through the 16th, Infocom is in Florida. We'll have a booth on the floor as well as a demo room. So we'll start to socialize some of the concepts and ideation around that once we've spoke internally with key stakeholders and then get that information out to everyone. So we will be at Infocom. We'll have a pretty significant presence there based on all the NPIs that we've launched over the last several months. And as I said, that'll be in Florida, and we'll share that with you very soon. As we move into the back half of the year, LDI has shifted a week, and that's November 30th through December 5th, I think it is. So more to come there, but you can mark your calendar on that. We will have a presence at LDI this year. As we kind of move down, the second and third tiers here on promos and themes. Obviously, some of this is standard across the industry, from House of Worship, Live Sound, Summer, Education, Government, and Holiday Focus. We'll continue to drive visibility of those drive times and tie those into NPIs. Stories behind the sessions, we'll talk about here in a second as a way to continue to help grow the AKG business. And then as we go down to activations, Summerfest obviously is a key event for us. And I just learned that we will have some of JBL product on stages there, I believe, this year. So more to come there. But JBL Fest has been put into the calendar for the first week of October. And of course, we'll run contests and incentive programs through starting in June, running through August, skip the month, and then have Fest activation in Vegas. So more to come there. Some really great things planned for Fest this year. From an NPI standpoint, we've obviously already launched N2600. We're continuing to work with the GPLM teams and evaluate dates, and we'll report those back out on the next call. Last but certainly not least on the calendar here, as you can see, last year was a really big year in terms of road shows and events, and this year shows no signs of that letting up. So Top row here, you'll see there's 3 Martin road shows planned this year. And we're currently in discussions right now with the audio team on the final dates for the audio roadshow this year, but we will have a significant audio roadshow that'll happen in the market this year. So again, high level, some things are certainly fluid here, but wanted to give everybody a heads up of some of the larger things that are planned here. So any questions, feel free to reach out. As I said, we'll continue to report out the dates and any changes to this. So, okay. From a 90-day outlook, the promo calendar, a lot of exciting things that Rochelle reported on Friday. I won't go into the details of that. Obviously, a lot of map changes, 3 series and 1 series being a significant part of those changes. Excited there. Trade and digital programs will continue to focus on NPIs, customer marketing programs, and regional trade events are starting to hit the calendar. So from a distribution NSP from some of our retail partners, various regional trade events are starting to be calendarized. So we'll report out on those as well in the soundbite, but also connect with your sales leadership, and we'll have those dates as well. So we're starting to plan those out as we speak. Next slide, Sarah. So we talked about the audio roadshow on the calendar. 2023 dates are TBD, but we have a hold in the calendar in the summer. If you recall, last year we had over 1,000 customers register for the roadshow. Very, very successful, and I think great work across all teams. Great collaboration, and great work out in the field of getting people to attend. So hopefully we can beat this number again in 23 that we did in 22. And we'll get those dates out as soon as those are solidified, but definitely plan on that happening. Next slide. We spoke a little bit about the Martin Roadshow. This first leg of the tour will start in April. We'll talk about the dates here in just a moment. But again, as it stands right now, we have 3 separate activations planned for Martin this year. JBL Fest last year was an incredibly successful year. A lot of you on this call had a big part in helping us bring that to life. But certainly looking forward to 2023 and continuing to bring the power of conversation and demos to Fest, which we did in 2022, which really, in my opinion, put this over the top. For Pro this year. A lot of great attendance, but also not only from a customer standpoint, but also locally. So a lot of you worked diligently with us to bring in some of the local customers in the Vegas market, and we'll continue to look to how we can build on that as well and include more folks locally. There's potentially a change of venue this year, which I'll have more information over the next couple of weeks. If you recall, last year it was at the Virgin Hotel, and we're still kind of evaluating a couple of different locations, but it certainly will be in Vegas, but I'll get back to everyone on where exactly that will be. So that'll be in October. This Friday, we'll release our first stories behind the sessions for the year. If you recall, last year we piloted this as with 2 interviews that we did at NAMM. We've elevated the production on this and has moved it to the Experience Center, and really, really excited about how it's turning out. We've had great conversations with a lot of our trade media partners to help elevate this, but Stories Behind the Sessions will be branded AKG this year in an effort to continue to build AKG as a brand that inspires musicians and producers. So more great things to come, but this Friday, we'll be launching the first 2023 episode with 3 to 4 episodes following throughout the year, if not hopefully more, and really excited about all the great work that's been done here and also how it came out from a production value. This next Stories Behind the Sessions will feature Gary Beers from INXS. It's the 35th anniversary of the album Kick, and we've got a lot of other artists planned for the year, and I think also a lot of diversity in music styles, production work, and really excited to showcase this and build this out. So look for this to launch next Friday. So I wanted to touch briefly on trade media for this year. Obviously, this is always a hot topic in terms of trade publications and where our brands show up. So wanted to just briefly touch on kind of what you can expect this year. So this chart here kind of illustrates, obviously, a lot of the trade publications that you see at the top, and clearly, print has continued to diminish on the trade side, and digital has obviously taken over. There's still a fair amount of readership on the print side, so we'll continue to leverage that and top grade where necessary. But this year, our trade partnerships will fall into one of several of these five buckets here that you see. So across the top, you'll see all of our trade publications that we've established really good relationships with, and tried to optimize the rates. So they'll either fall into product, which is NPI and sustaining product campaigns to help build awareness, music culture, uh, sustaining campaigns, promos, product focus, unboxings, those types of things. Emerging talent, which is, obviously a way for our brands to connect with new potential customers and new to brand, but also new to industry. So think of content creation, and also performance, anything that's centered around up and coming talent, and that could be behind the scenes, that could be on stage, that could be from lighting designers to front of house engineers. So emerging talent isn't just a musician or a producer. And then the last is focused around our evergreen campaigns. So these are campaigns, the best of, best top five microphones for recording, those types of things, where evergreen content helps with search. It also helps with, continuing to maintain eyes on the brand, but on the product. And that's across all brands. That, I mentioned microphone, but that's just one example of where evergreen campaigns, you'll see a lot of this obviously on the tech side as we continue to leverage out visibility for like the new N2600, and some of the other product jets, any product that you can think of will have the opportunity to use evergreen campaigns to build that visibility. So next slide. And then if we double click down, there's a lot to see here, but just wanted to briefly touch on kind of the trade and partner media mix. So from, obviously we'll continue our aggressive play around search and retarget and social to help build product awareness, promo awareness, and also from a trade website perspective, here are some of the partners that we have selected and have been very successful in helping us continue to build out product and brand visibility. Our trade and print publications, I said, as print distribution continues to diminish, a lot of these trade publications are investing big in their sites, as well as digital and social as well. And then clearly on the partner side, we have a tremendous amount of opportunity that we'll continue to leverage this year. So think of, so a lot of the Pro Gear Selects, the Guitar Center books, a lot of trade mailers, um, some of the guides like ADI books, and things where those books are just, customers rely on those as their kind of primary source of information when interfacing with those particular customers. So this is the trade media mix for this year. As I said, those five buckets that you saw, some of those, the content pieces will fall into that, as well as our ongoing trade media publications. And just as a note on some of the trade publications, when you think about print even a year ago, some of the trade publications have, circulation rates of, 20,000 a year ago. Some of those have been cut in half, and some of them have actually just stopped printing the books altogether. So it's really a constant top grading of us looking at those opportunities where those folks are migrating more of their content onto their trade websites. So again, just a high level look on trade media for this year. And Sarah, I don't know if there's anything you want to add there, but certainly I think a lot of great work there to kind of pull this all together for 2023.
Most definitely. And I'll get into this a little bit later on in the call as well when we cover some of what's going on here in Q1. But we are really making some calculated and heavier investments in not only different types of digital this year, but also content. So as Frank mentioned, doing some more activities that assist with SEO, and really put a lot of our brands at the forefront. You will start to see some really exciting content pieces coming out here, starting next month. And then we actually have a couple of things to share out that occurred in January as well. So lots of great things happening this year in media.
Great. Thanks, Sarah. Let's go ahead and move on to NAM. So NAM this year, 13th through the 15th, 3 days versus four. And this is the last year that NAM will be off cycle. So in 2024, we'll turn back to January. And as we discussed on Friday, through various conversations and collaborations with sales, we've decided to not have a booth on the main floor, but we'll continue to partner with NAM around the media center as we have for the last couple of years. And Joe Lamont, who's the president and CEO of NAM, was here last week. We've kind of walked him through our plan, and we've got, I think, their support on kind of our strategy here moving forward. As I mentioned at the top of the call, we're betting big on some other shows later this year. One of them is Infocom, where we can tell a broader technology story. So excited to bring that together. But this year will be the last year off cycle. But still, nonetheless, the NAM Press Center over the last 2 years has continued to gain a tremendous success. So, Sarah, if you can go to the next slide. We originally started off, I think there was around 60 different media outlets and independent media that were going to come to the press center, and I think we wound up over 200. So a really great opportunity for our brand to be front and center. As you can see here, we'll still have the truck on site and these various little kind of showcase areas with the step and repeats for all the media to gather there. The press center will be hosted by myself, Mike McCarthy, David Glopke as well will all be there. And David, I don't know if you want to add any additional context to the press center. Obviously, you've been involved in this as well. So, and
I
then Sarah, if
think
you want to
it's
go to the next slide too, Sarah.
no, I think that fairly explains it all. I think that the biggest opportunity is really how we really put our brands in front of the media, and as you can see through a lot of these photographs, that when the media and the influencers are doing their content capture, which may not have been about JBL at all, our brand still showed up in their content. It happened over and over and over again that week, and in the subsequent weeks and months when their content was being released. So yeah, this is a real sticky, really great environment. We did a survey of all the media that attended the media center, as well as media who chose not to. And one of the most interesting numbers to come out of over 80% of the media who were at the show but did not choose to participate in the media center said that the following year that they absolutely would. So we're expecting to see a lot of participation in April for sure. And then Frank, before you close out NAM, I do want to talk about Tech Awards, but I don't know, you might have a slide on that.
We do. Let's go ahead and jump in. Actually, go back for one slide, Sarah. There. So this is the high-level view here. As you can see, the truck again will be on site. We've got 8 tables here that'll be showcased for media and press. If you are going to be at the show, obviously on Friday the communication was that reps, because we won't have a presence on the floor, there won't be the absolute need for reps. However, if you are there and do want to stop by, please reach out. And certainly if you have a customer or such that you want to meet with, let us know and we'll figure out some ways to accommodate that. So more to come on that, on the details. So next slide. And then moving on to awards, we will have participation in the Pernelli Awards this year, and a table as we usually do. And then the next slide, Sarah, will also be a Tech Awards sponsorship. So speaking of the Tech Awards, you can go to the next slide, Sarah. It's that time to vote. And David, this is probably what you're speaking of. So as you can see here, we have 3 products in for Tech Awards. This is the link here, as you can see here. The voting period is started on January 4th. And will end on March 1st. So we need your support to get out there. Click on this link. We'll send it out in the soundbite, but obviously just go out and go to the Tech Awards site and put in your vote.
If I could add one thing, Frank.
Yeah.
I'd really challenge everybody to really use your social media to get people within your network to vote. I think this is where we come in strong among many of our competitors, that we've got that sort of network effect through our relationships. So I really challenge everybody to think maybe 5 people that aren't necessarily on your team, get your teams to vote, but maybe about 5 people outside of um, Harman in your network, and encourage them to vote and get their commitment to vote. I think that will be the strongest way to get us to a win.
Yeah, agree. So we'll have a slide at the end of this call here. You can copy down the link again, but again, we'll send this out in soundbite. Of course, many of you know how to vote, so certainly share that out on socials, as David just mentioned as well, and then get your vote in there as well. You have until March 1st. So, all right, next slide. Sarah, do you want to kind of talk briefly about AMX go-to-market on the 2600 and certainly on the customer side? Brianna, if you wanted to mention anything around some of the programs you have happening. So I'll turn it over to you
Yeah,
guys.
definitely. Thank you so much. So we, as we all know, there are several AMX products that have been launching between Q4 of last year and then Q1 of this year. So we're really doing quite a bit to support from a media perspective. You can expect to see quite a bit of digital that our team is running in-house between both Google and LinkedIn. And I'm really excited about a lot of the LinkedIn targeting that we're doing. We partnered with some folks on the AMX team to make sure that we are targeting very qualified and very specific audiences. So looking at specific jobs, specific roles, and specific industries as well. So you can expect to see those running all year long as we support each of those products that have launched. And then with a lot of our partners, we are working with systems contractor news, AV technology, AV network, and sound and video contractor to not only have digital support all year, but we're also launching some thought leadership pieces. So specifically some webinars that showcase how AMX fits into a variety of different spaces. The first one that we'll be launching here in February is specifically around higher education and classroom setups, as well as where we see that industry moving in the future. So you can expect to see some great content coming this year that's going to be highlighting not only individual products, but elevating the AMX brand as a whole, as a leader in the space. So with that, I'm actually going to kick it over to Brian to talk customers as well. Brian, can you hear me?
You might be on mute. There.
I couldn't find the unmute button.
Okay, so let's go ahead. We'll come back to that on the customer side. I wanted to Mike McCarthy, if you're on, just take us through Harman Explorer. You know that we obviously this is we did the show in January, so wanted to we'll dive into that here in a second. But Sarah, if you want to take us through the Martin Roadshow and the upcoming dates.
Yeah, absolutely. So we hosted our first kickoff meeting with the folks from the lighting team, as well as our partners on the global marketing side. So the roadshow is going to be kicking off here in April with 6 stops in some B markets specifically. And we are going to be supporting with quite a bit of an asset collection for not only including digital banners, but also we'll be creating the landing page, some custom e-blasts, and dusting off and refreshing all of our creative for key art campaigns as well. And not only that, we're going to be partnering with a couple of trade media partners to get some e-blasts out to their customer bases, as well as a combination of organic social posts on our Martin social channels, as well as some paid digital as well that will be geo-targeted, again, to specific markets, as well as specific roles to make sure that we're getting qualified folks attending each of these road shows and learning sessions. And with that, I'll kick it back over to Mike and Frank to talk about some Experience Center updates.
Thanks, Sarah. So we've completely revamped the hospitality area in the Experience Center. It now shows the new JBL control contractor NPI products, as well as some existing control contractor lines. I'll show some photos of that on the next slide, but we have also added an AMX displayer. We were able to show some NPIs there. We have some of the new SLP models, which you'll see in the next slides as well. And we added a new installed graphic in the cap area. It's 30 feet wide. It's pretty dramatic when you look at that photo. We have a left and right PRX1 in stereo, and the new PRX line is stereo. This is just phase one. So right now the PRX1 is an active display. I'll be working closely with Craig and Brandon on making the PRX an active display as well. And also the in front of when you walk in the Experience Center, we've now added a JBL consumer display area, which was formerly the retail display space, also known as the Samsung Next Shop display. Next slide. On the top left-hand corner, that was formerly the ABLC area. Now it's more of our installed sound video technology area. We have an area for Martin new NPIs. We also have a Martin Ultra cutaway, as well as a JBL A8 cutaway and an AMX DVX cutaway. And in the middle slide, you can see again, that's the PRX display area with a new graphic. We have some truss, some lighting up there. And on the very far right top corner, that's our new control contractor display area. It's pretty dramatic when you walk in and see it. We have over 24 ceiling speakers installed in there. We have a dedicated display space for AMX, a dedicated display space for DBX, BSS, and Lexicon, as well as Crown and JBL. So as we launch new products, we'll be able to take product out and add new products. So it's pretty exciting to see this. I'm looking forward to getting some of the new AMX touch panels installed up there. We've also added some 8 new Samsung displays in the Experience Center and added new content, as you can see on the bottom right-hand corner. We've added the JBL mushroom speakers, as well as the point and shoot landscape speakers. And in the container, we've added some new keypads. So it's you hit play and it's an automated demo, which makes it really easy for the end users to use. And then as a very far on the very bottom right-hand corner, you can see the new consumer display area. So this is just phase one. There's a lot more to come. Phase two will make a lot more of this active, and we have quite a bit more updates to do in the soundstage itself.
Yeah, Mike, if you can go back to that slide, that top right slide, photo there that of all the contractor series products is just absolutely phenomenal. It is a completely new experience center. I think this really was a great addition, great work, Mike and team on bringing this together. And I think for our customers to come in and experience this, it's really going to tell the bigger, broader story around our entire product offering. So great job. And I would say if you don't have any plans to come to the Experience Center, certainly it's worth the trip down with these updates. So great job, everybody. Really excited about this. So.
I'll work on a document to kind of explain what those new products were that we installed, so everyone knows all the new products.
Yeah.
Frank and Mike, real quick, are you able to share where we're at with the ceiling speaker demo room as it relates to this?
I don't have an update on that, but certainly we'll get one for you and for the team. I don't have an update, unfortunately, for today.
Yeah, Mike,
great job.
We're waiting for permits still, so that's still pending.
Cool. All right. So now we can go through Harman Explorer. Mike, you want to take us through a brief overview of Harman Explorer, and also we want to showcase some behind-the-scenes work that was done at the concert. So go ahead.
Sure. So this is kind of some of the photos of the front view of our booth, where we had a few activations where we had active displays. At the last minute we added a VTX line array. We also added a Martin Mac Ultra cutaway. If you go to the next slide, I'll go into more detail on what it is. We had an active podcaster display. We had the AKG P220 with the AKG K371 headphones. We also had an active AKG headphone display where you can listen to the K361s or 371s. And to the right of that, we had an active content creation display where it was the Lyra paired with the 104 BTs. We also had a static display of the Aura and the Lyra, as well as a static display of the 3 series. And in the front corner, we had a 104, an AKG podcaster, and a notepad gondola display. Next slide. This was our portable PA displays at CES, and This is with our new tablets. What was great about this is these were all active displays where you can actually just touch the tablet and listen to each speaker. So you can do that with the PRX1, the new Eon series, and the IRX. So we learned a lot from this show, and we're incorporating that into the Experience Center. So excited to see you guys come to the Experience Center and see what we've done. Again, here is the Eon 1 Mark II, as well as the Compact. Those are both active displays. And then again, the front corner was of the Martin Ultra cutaway and A8 cutaway with a A6 line array on the ground and flown above the booth. Frank, do you want to go into detail about the setup and of the Def Leppard show?
Yeah, go for it. I'll jump in here, but
Sure. So this is kind of behind the scenes when we're loading in. Raul and team were there setting it up. We had VTX line arrays going in. We also had over 250 Martin lights installed into the venue. So it was a great representation of Harman at this show. Next slide. Here's an example of the Martin lighting going in and the dress rehearsal with, I believe that was the night before the show started.
that was actually Dev, and to
Dev.
build on that, David Gopke and I have some behind the scenes footage that we're going to be pulling together for kind of a micro case study that we'll put together. But Raul and team, just a fantastic job, and to see it come together. One highlight, one of the many highlights of the concert was, traditionally the concert, tickets have been just kind of disseminated out to various people based on proximity. But this year, Heather and Daniela did a fantastic job of leveraging the 65 tickets that we had to allocate out to customers, front of house engineers, influencers, and I believe as a result of some of those engagements, we've had some deals that have come together as a result of attending the concert and using it as a fairly significant demo of what we can do out in the field with Harman products. So great work across the board, and really excited that this came together in the fashion it did. So thanks everyone that was involved.
Next slide. These are some of the photos that David and I guess Frank, you guys were front row in front of the speakers taking these photos. Great photos of the concert.
Yeah, and as you can see, that was as it all came together. So I mean, a pretty amazing experience for our customers, for Harman across the board, and just fantastic to see all of our products powering a show of that magnitude. So great job.
Frank, what was the estimate on how many attendees we had at the concert? Was it?
I think it was right around 3,000.
3,000.
Was the head count. Yeah. So great job. And lastly, I would say, Raul and team, if you've ever, kind of been, around when Raul and his team are in action, it's pretty impressive. So again, great job, guys. You were a huge part of it, and really appreciate it. So looking forward to the next one.
Well, this is going to sound less exciting following Def Leppard, but it's also very important to our business. So just to let you know, Whitney is out this week, but we have our high-level programs in place with our major integrators, distributors, and NSPs. She and I are still working on some of the details and timing of the specific tactics, but I'll take you through some highlights of things that have happened in January and a few things that we have planned for the next couple of months. So in terms of dealer tech shows, we do have a few on the calendar. The first one will be the AVI Live event in Kansas City. That's a new market they're doing this year on the 1st of March. For those of you who support AVI systems, to be aware that they've expanded. Also, they've acquired a company called Neuralink up in Washington State. So that might be a place where they put a new event for their schedule, probably in the fall. After the AVI Live show, we'll have an event in Dallas, the Alamo E4 event, and then up to Oklahoma for Ford AV in Oklahoma City. Then back to Dallas, where AVI is going to be hosting their national sales meeting at the Gaylord out in Irving. And then in mid-May, we will be in Scottsdale with all the CCS affiliates meeting there. Next slide. So as I mentioned, we did have a couple of tactics that happened in January. This is just kind of a snapshot. First off, Diversified, who reorganized their sales teams last year into kind of a worship and entertainment division, and then a collaboration division that does sort of AV control for enterprise. And so that worship team, we were invited to participate with them at their kickoff the first week of January. We actually had Keith Cagiano schedule a webinar with the entire team that does installations, both sales and engineering for houses of worship as well as performance venues. So that house of worship team did a couple of very big lighting installs last year. And they focus on kind of like the very heavy production types of large format churches. So they've committed to do more JBL specs for the audio side of those projects in the next year. So we were very appreciative that they gave us that time to have Keith kind of walk through our offerings for that particular space. And then with Edge, formerly USAV, part of our program with them is they do kind of like newsy newsletters. So we have throughout the year a couple of placements where they ask us for news items that are not necessarily product related. So for this January edition, I came across this article. It was on our Harman Hub about an operations award that we received. So we were named part of the top 7 most resilient suppliers for 2022. And I thought that was a really kind of interesting story. It kind of supports some of what we're doing in terms of everything that we can to make sure that we have the right products kind of in the hands of folks, or at least some transparency in that area. So that was kind of a neat little insertion. And then with Sound Productions, we launched a major installed audio campaign, which consists of a custom blog that they drafted that's kind of in their resource section on their webpage. We did an e-blast and running digital banners all around our installed audio speakers. Next slide. So in terms of future plans, again, working on some details with some of the partners, but for the music people, in February, Glenn launched a promotion around portables, so we're supporting that with some communications around our portable portfolio. There'll be a sales contest as well as promotions around that, and then we're also going to be doing a dedicated e-blast with the music people, talking about the recent product introductions from AMX. So that will go out in February as well. And then on to the next slide. This is a little bit of an eye chart, but we have really robust plans in place with Full Compass for the first half of the year, starting off with, again, some social that we're going to be doing around the AMX product launches. That'll be posted here in the next couple of days. They're also shipping their fall or winter and spring catalog. So we have 2 placements there with JBL SRX 900 as well as PRX 900. And then really heats up kind of in March and April, where they have some vertical market oriented pieces that they do. So we'll have placements in their education flyer with not only our installed speakers contractor series, but also an AMX Jetpack ad. In that particular publication, we'll have a live sound placement, again, 2 ads there with some of our recent JBL product launches. And then House of Worship, we're going to be doing a complete campaign around House of Worship kind of ahead of that spring holiday season. So and then moving into installed audio later in the spring timeframe as far as kind of a campaign focus with Full Compass. So lots of stuff in place with them. Again, working on details with some of the others, which you'll see coming in the next month. And now I think I'll hand it back to Frank to talk about some things that are happening at Guitar Center.
Thanks, Brian. Great stuff. Just wanted to update everybody. For some of you that know, we've been testing some various assisted sales programs out in the field. Happy to report that over the last few months in Guitar Center specifically, the program that we put in place that actually ended actually ends today. Over the last few months, the team is engaged with over 10,000 customers. So for those of you that are not familiar with this program, this is our Guitar Center program where we put brand ambassadors in the stores on the weekends to engage with the sales staff, but also customers for various products. So focused on high value products, so PRX, Eon, Mark II, et cetera, and our entire AKG portfolio. Really great results here. So just sharing some slides from the field and some metrics there. So next slide, sir. I think okay, great. So just a couple of updates on the retail e-com side. Some of our partner marketing programs for the year have been finalized. So you're looking at some creative here for Zounds and AMS that are in the market as we speak. But as I indicated, we're pretty planned out for the rest of for the entire year on the retail front for both Zounds, AMS, and Sweetwater at this point. So here's some updated creative that we're sharing out on some of these various programs. So next slide. And Sarah, you want to take us through some trade media updates and what we have planned over the next 3 months, right?
Yep, absolutely. So quick snapshot of our in-house digital plan here, specifically with Facebook, Instagram, Google, as well as LinkedIn. So as you can see from the screen, definitely hitting Google and LinkedIn really heavy in support of lots of our NPI that have launched specifically within AMX. So setting aside some budgeted dollars specifically for those campaigns. And we're also shifting focus this year to support more of our sustaining campaign efforts. So specifically, we're really hitting the accelerator hard for JBL 3 series. We've got 4 different campaigns running to target a variety of different types of audiences and of different types of use cases. So if you've been on social media in the last couple of months, you've probably been served up with some of these ads, but really targeting a broad group of individuals with some different types of campaigns. And we are also continuing to support our NPI launches from last year. So specifically with portable PA within Eon 700, as well as PRX 900. And then for our small array, we are still running some targeted campaigns for SRX 900. And moving into larger line arrays, we are still running some A6 campaigns as well, specifically on LinkedIn and Google, trying to reach more targeted customer base for those particular products. And last but definitely not least, we are still supporting Martin NPI as well, really trying to build energy and conversation around the XIP that was launched last year. And we are also going to start running our Martin Roadshow campaigns next month to start building some excitement and energy around that tour. So you can expect to see those launching in March. And another snapshot for trade media of what you can expect to see from our team here for February. So you'll obviously notice, again, we're hitting the accelerator for studio monitors. So you'll see a mix of different types of digital campaigns and banners. We're investing heavily this year in more site skin takeovers. So if you recall last year, we are taking over larger footprints with many of our trade publication partners. And specifically with Music Radar, Tech Radar, you'll start seeing more of those larger footprint ads, as well as our partner Headliner. So you'll definitely keep an eye out for those campaigns. We are also running content pieces around portable PA with Performer Magazine, and also some exciting things happening specifically for C series around Music Connection and Music Radar, with more to come next month. And as mentioned earlier in the call, heavy digital investment for our AMX products that have been launching here in the last 4 to 5 months, as well as some content pieces here and sponsored content that are going to be launching. Next up, actually happy to report that C-Series will be on the cover of Recording Magazine next month. So once we have that piece to share out, we'll definitely make sure it makes it to the next call. But there is quite a robust interview of the entire family of products that were tested by Editor-in-Chief Paul Vinuk. So you can expect to see that coming soon, and continuing our digital footprint with some of the trade media partners that Frank had listed out in the media mix.
And Sarah, just a note for everyone on the the JBL 3 Series side, obviously, that is a category that we continue to spend to protect. It is incredibly crowded, as everyone knows, and so we continue to make sure that the products are seen in the right places, but also from a retailer perspective that we're top of mind in some of the trade books and catalogs, et cetera. So we'll continue to spend to protect for those products throughout the year, just because of the obviously, first of all, our inventory position is quite healthy. And secondly, the category is incredibly crowded and competitive with more anticipated brands getting into this space. So obviously, this is a key area for us for JBL. So we'll continue to spend in that area to maintain our presence.
Absolutely. And a couple of highlights from January activities. So first up, wanted to share out this great content piece that was filmed with product management extraordinaire George Georgalis, as well as front of house engineer Daniel Reed. So this particular video interview was conducted with Mix Magazine / Pro Sound News, now that they have merged, and specifically highlights A series with an emphasis on the A6 that has launched last year. So George did a great job, even brought visuals for the interview so that you could see some of the different 3D modeling that was done for different components of the A6. And then from an end user perspective, Daniel Reed spoke to his experience mixing on A series speakers as well. So great interview. And also there's a blog post on the Mix homepage specifically about this piece. Lots of great coverage from this, and big thanks to George for being so flexible with scheduling and for being part of this. I think it was a really impactful interview. And we'll do a little bit of additional push as well as we move into live sound season a little bit later here this summer. And another great piece of media to report, JBL was specifically featured on Mix Magazine's 23 Companies to Watch in 2023. A few other brands represented as well, but JBL was definitely top of mind in this piece. So we're getting some additional coverage here, not only from a live sound perspective, but also from a recording perspective. Continuing with some of our emerging artist coverage, we actually shot some content in the Northridge Experience Center here in December, featuring 2 emerging artists who performed, as you can see with the Martin lighting trusses in the background, all JBL and AKG gear on stage as well. So each of these artists, first up being Grace Ghosted, who actually has quite the following on social media with more than 400,000 followers. And this was also amplified on our partner Headliners site and in their magazine as well. And also for January, our partner Headliner has published a podcast and interview with emerging artist Dakota Jones. So great content there, and looking forward to having these folks come to the Experience Center and potentially film some additional content there as well. And if we still have David Globke on the line, I will kick it over for some additional notes from him. But as part of our PR team's really robust and in-depth seeding campaign, Technologies for Worship magazine actually published a really great and glowing review of the Eon 700 series. Pardon my ringing WebEx. So I'll turn it back over here to David to give us some more detail on that one.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Yeah, so this is like Sarah said, this is a part of our ongoing media seeding program. This is really reaching into publications that we might not necessarily be doing media spends with, and just getting people interested in spending some time, extended time with our product to use it and to report back. And this is a very robust article about the 700's application into the house of worship environment. So, this is all, really strong third-party validation. This particular one from a pastor that manages a lot of the audio for these worship moments. Anyway, so we've got a number of these things. These are long lead media opportunities because oftentimes we've got a full 700 series system out for sometimes 2 or 3 months before we get coverage. We've got a number of these lined up in the queue. We're going to keep pushing down on these into 2023. So yeah, this is a great example of many of these that are starting to fall through. Thanks, Sarah.
Awesome. Thanks, David. And with that, I will kick it over to Frank for closing remarks.
Great. Thanks, guys. Great job. Next call is March 6th, but if you flip to the next slide, just a reminder, get out there and vote on those tech awards. We've got till March 1st. We've got 3 pretty groundbreaking products for us out there in consideration. We need your help, need your support. To David's point, get out there on social, get that link out there, talk to your friends, talk to your friends' friends, so on and so on. And let's pick up some awards at the upcoming Tech Awards on April 13th. For that, we'll leave this up for just a minute. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of the month. And look forward to touching base next month. Again, we'll share more of the upcoming events, specifically InfoComm, and more details around that. So as always, any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks. Have a great rest of your day. Talk to you soon.